If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. Okay, I want to talk with you today about an odd disadvantage that you can have when you're in disagreement or conflict with a narcissist. I want you to notice that whenever you are engaging with that narcissist in a disagreement, you're attempting to bring normal reasoning to an abnormal person. You're wanting them to see reality when in fact they operate with their own alternate reality. It's part of them propping up a false self and staying behind that. The more you try to bring them into your healthy, reasonable way of thinking, the more they're thinking, well, I can work this. And they twist you like a pretzel. And so rather than trying to get them into your healthy way of thinking, it's going to be necessary for you to learn how to think like that narcissist so that as you're aware of what's cooking on the inside of their mind, they're not going to be able to drag you into their many minefields or traps and snares. And so I want to identify 8 tactics that they tend to use when they're in conflict with you. The first tactic that we can identify is they're thinking, never let anyone know your vulnerabilities. You're trying to say to them, hey, expose your thoughts and expose your feelings and weaknesses to me. I'll do the same with you. And they're thinking, there's no way I'm going to talk and communicate on any kind of vulnerable level. And so what they'll do is they'll come at you with secrets or evasiveness or the walls of defense. It's like, you're not going to get me to be vulnerable and to be open. Now, I'd like for you to express your feelings and needs. And as you put yourself out there in a vulnerable way, that gives me something that I can club you with. That's how they think. A second tactic that they use is they're thinking, okay, at every opportunity with this normal person, I'm going to see if I can highlight their weaknesses. So as you say, hey, there's something that's bothering me, or there's something I'd like for you to know, or there's something I'd like to discuss, what they're doing is they're thinking, okay, what's the hole in your logic? Or what is it about what you're saying that just doesn't apply to me? And let me make sure that I make you feel badly about that. And so what they do is they bring a critical mindset. They don't bring a willingness to be objective. It's like, well, there's this about you that's wrong. There's that about you that's wrong. You'll never get me to admit anything that's weak in me, but I can see all sorts of weaknesses in you. And before you know it, you find yourself in a defensive posture. They're trying to play a one up, one down kind of game, and they're thinking, oh, I so have you going when they use that tactic. A third tactic that they typically bring to the equation, and that is they're thinking, always remind other individuals of their guilt-worthiness. Whenever you're discussing your differences or your conflicts with that person, the narcissist is thinking, well, if I can figure out how to shame that individual, how to make them feel really stupid for being different from me, I win. They have no empathy. They have no desire to tune into you and to discuss, why you feel as you do. It's like, no, I'm just going to remind you, if you differ, then that means there's something that you should feel guilty for. What is it? And I'll just park on that and just keep pushing shame, shame, shame onto you, because that's how they operate. They have a lot of unresolved shame on the inside of themselves, and you're trying to get that out of them. But it's like, no, that goes back to point number 1. I don't make myself vulnerable. Remember that? A fourth tactic that they tend to use in their differences with you, and that is always come up with a good excuse for the accusations that are being brought to me. So if you say, hey, when you did this, or when we approached it this way, here's something about that I'd like for you to know differently. It's like, no, there's an excuse for that. This person over here, they're the ones that really blew it, or you're the one that set the whole thing up to go bad in the first place. They go into denial. That you're trying to make me the problem. I'm not the problem. Here's what it is. And you'll find that these individuals can say and do anything and everything to take themselves off the hook. They have an excuse for everything. And whenever there's a problem, guess whose fault it is? Well, it's not the narcissist's fault. There you have it. A fifth tactic that they bring to the equation when you differ is always question a person's motives and how and why they remember the things that they do. Keep people guessing. For example, if you say, hey, there's something that's bothering me, there's something we need to try to come to terms with, they can come back and say something like, where are you coming up with that? So are you just messing with me? Or there you go again. You can never be satisfied. I don't know why I even bother talking with you. And they'll question you and your motives, even though you're thinking, hey, I'm just trying to talk logic to you. It's like, there's nothing logical about you. Let's talk about how you have schemes against me and how you're trying to mess with my life. And so as long as they can keep you in that place where they're questioning you, then that keeps them out of the spotlight, which is exactly what they're attempting to do. A sixth tactic that they can use is they're thinking, okay, when you're in a disagreement with others, stay aggressive, stay stubborn. Narcissists do not manage anger well. Obviously, the emotion that comes along with anger, with disagreement and conflict can be anger. And even if you're trying to handle your anger cleanly, assertively, and appropriately, they're thinking, oh no, I'm not about to listen to your assertiveness, and I'm not going to give you assertiveness back. I'm just going to bash you. And so they can come on in a very non-cooperative way. They can be accusing. They can go into rages. And that's their way of saying, I'm shutting you down. If you think that you're going to bring normalcy to me, I'll make you sorry that you ever thought about that in the first place. They can go into passive aggressiveness and hold you in contempt. That's the way they operate. Or a seventh tactic that they use is, all right, when other people attempt to establish boundaries with me, be non-cooperative. So if you say, well, I know that this is important to you, Mr. or Mrs. Narcissist, but I'm not going to go along with that. It's like, oh, I am so going to make you pay. And they don't respect your boundaries. They don't respect your convictions. They don't respect your distinctives. It's like they'll just walk all over. It's like, if you want cooperation from me, if you want me to go along with whatever is important to you, not going to happen. You don't have the right to establish any kind of stipulation with me. I do that toward you. That's how they think. And then an eighth tactic that they'll use with you is, it's okay. In fact, it's good to hold grudges and keep people in a place of contempt. They want to let you know that they're very displeased with you and they find you to be very inappropriate and very undesirable. And so they keep you dysregulated by letting you know, I can't stand you, or I don't like you. And in doing so, it throws you off your game. So going back to my opening comments, here you are, you're trying to bring reasonableness and normalcy to this person who's over there being a schemer. And if you sidestep the way they're thinking, then they're just playing you like a drum. So I'm hoping that as you can see the tactics that they're using and you can understand the thinking that they bring, even though it's not going to create a whole lot of coordination, I'm hoping that you can approach them in a different kind of mindset so that you don't go into the pit that they're trying to throw you into. Once you see the tactics that these narcissists are using, I'm hoping that you can draw multiple conclusions. First and foremost, I'm hoping you conclude, you know what? I see that you are an empty person on the inside. I get it, that you have to draw your energy from other individuals and you're looking at me for supply. So if you see me floundering and struggling, then that makes you feel better. Actually, we have a word for that. That's called codependency. And I'm not going to play the co part to your dependency. I'm not going to be your supply. I also hope that you can conclude that I know that you feel affirmed or superior when other people are intimidated by you. I don't like what you do, but I'm not going to be intimidated by you. In addition, we can think, it's clear that you have little to no concept of love or connections. I'm trying to establish a pace where we can have goodness and decency, but I realize that's not on your radar screen. I have to factor that into the equation. In addition, you've somehow convinced yourself that others, including me, who differ from you, are a nuisance. I'm not a nuisance. We're just going to have to agree to disagree on that one. Additionally, you want me to believe in your excuses. You want me to buy off on that. But I can't. My adult reasoning tells me that your childish pettiness is irrational. I'm not playing along with that either. Despite your desires to invalidate me, I know differently. I'm a valid person in my own right. I am going to establish those boundaries. I am going to hold firmly to my convictions. I am going to follow through on what I know is wisest and best, but it looks like I'm going to have to do that without your appreciation or coordination. But the bottom line is, I'm a person of dignity. I have a reasonable mind. I'm willing to coordinate, but not at the expense of my own self-respect. Your tactics, which you so desperately want me to buy into, no longer work on me. I'm a free person. I get to choose who I'm going to be. I wish that you could coordinate with me in that normal, reality-based style of thinking, but I see that you're tied up in your own knots and your own unresolved issues. That being the case, until you choose to drop your abnormal tactics, looks like we're not going to be a very good match. I'm going to hold on to my normalcy. I'm going to hold on to my reality, recognizing that you're not in the same place that I am. And I do hope that videos such as this give you some good food for thought and help you strengthen yourself from the inside out. That's what we do these videos for. If you've not already subscribed, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell that goes along with it. If you have a need for counseling, I would strongly encourage you to seek help from someone that might be there in your immediate circumstance or surroundings, or if that's not the case, if you'd prefer differently, we have a sponsor that can take you to online counseling, which is very popular right now. There's a whole team of licensed professional experienced counselors. There's a link below, and I would encourage you to seek the counseling that would be helpful for you. In addition, we have my courses. And these are not just one-off webinars, which we also have those too, but these are extensive. There are a number of videos and teachings and questions that go along with that that's meant to be a therapeutic guide for you. I would encourage you to look into those. This is Me, which is about setting boundaries, and Free to Be, which is about discovering your own identity despite the controllers. In addition, we have books. We have other ways that you can find us on other social media. So plenty of resources down below. All right, you're wanting to bring that narcissist into reality. Part of the definition of narcissism is they operate on their own alternate reality. As you learn to think as they do and then stay out of the manipulations that are represented by their alternate reality, it positions you to stay steady and calm despite their dysregulation. And I'm hoping in doing so, you can remain a person of peace.